3, 2, 1.
Talk to me.
Today, I'm gonna show you a little case study on how we are building one of our startups from the ground up, starting from the initial sketches, wireframes, idea generation, flows, and high-fidelity designs, all the way to developer handoff, and we're gonna focus quite a lot on how we do developer handoff. Working well with developers is essential, and I'm really happy to partner with Zeppelin for this video. But let's start by talking about what the product is. For a while now, we've been giving people feedback. We've given over 13,000 feedback comments on our platform, and our AI bot has given thousands as well. And we realized that we can push it one step further for our B2B clients. So I started noting out what are the additional things that most businesses are struggling with. I created a list and then mocked up a very quick flow diagram of the ideal process in this app. So how it's going to be helpful to any business that wants to know that the design that they got, either made themselves or got it from someone, is good enough, and what to improve in it. Our premise is that you're gonna get a professional review made by AI in 30 seconds, but it's gonna be based on all my knowledge and experience that we use to fine-tune the AI bots, and then the bot creates a whole breakdown of what you can do to improve your project. Before you start designing, before you start putting any of those visual thoughts onto the canvas of your favorite design tool, it's really important to know what the app is gonna do exactly and how. At this early stage, just having the flow diagrams, we discussed it with our developers and tried to figure out how we can handle different AIs querying each other and them also taking care of all the materials that we prepared for them. And the developers said that yes, some of these ideas can be done, others can't be done, so we crossed them out for now. And in some cases we figured out an alternative solution. The good thing is that most of what we thought we want to do here actually is quite possible. The hardest part was preparing the PDFs to train the AI models on, because it needed to be very precise and concise at the same time. That's not an easy feat to do. If you want to write something that is handling every possible outcome, hopefully, and then at the same time make it as condensed in the text as possible, yeah, that took a while. But we managed to do it, and we managed to test it on a lot of different designs. We used mostly our own designs, but we tried to make some bad designs on purpose as well. And then we started feeding them some designs from Twitter, and it turns out that the same things that I would tell those people were mostly the ones that the bot highlighted as well. Obviously, this cannot replace human feedback, but it's not really supposed to. It's supposed to give you a starting point for improvement. And then if you want to have extra human feedback on top of that, you can. But that's gonna be a separate feature on the platform, and we're gonna talk more about that later. Once we got that part figured out, I started sketching the low fidelity wireframes because I wanted to also be sure that the developers understand the front end well. During the back and forth, we realized that we don't need a couple of menus, removed a couple of steps, and ended up with a nicely set palette of low fidelity wireframes that are ready to be transformed into a high fidelity design. I used Sketch to outline the main flow of the app because this is the thing that we're gonna be building first. We also created a very simple landing page, and you can go there right now and sign up to be notified when we launch, because the first few hundred people that are gonna sign up for this are gonna have a lifetime much lower price than everybody else. That's just a little thing to remember. For high fidelity, I went with dark mode because I decided that it's gonna highlight the projects better. It's gonna make them more visible without really distracting with the glow of the canvas. Now, I can't show you all of the designs because some of the features are hidden on purpose. We don't want to reveal too much, but here is what I can show you. For example, we can analyze the text on your website, even though it's just a JPEG you uploaded, and suggest you a better solution based on a couple of the copywriting rules that I'm also sharing in many of my videos. We can also connect to our platform, Square One, and show you similar projects from designers, and you can one click to potentially hire that person if you want them to redesign your thing because you feel like what they did fits you better. Next to that, we have typography improvements, spacing improvements, contrasts, colors, and a lot more. We are working with one designer, me, and two developers on this. And I realized that if we were to move it to Figma and use their dev mode, it would be actually quite expensive because I would have to pay for 3 people. And in Zeplin, the idea is that you pay per project. So if you're working on a single project, no matter how many developers you have, you pay a single low price. And this is actually a game changer because Zeplin is just as powerful, if not more powerful, than what Figma has to offer, but infinitely cheaper. This is what my co-founder and developers said about it. From a workflow perspective, I chose to actually use their app on the Mac instead of going for the purely web version. It's just a tiny bit faster, even though it's likely a web app as well. But what I really like about it is that you can actually use it a little bit like Git for design. So every change you upload to Zeplin from Sketch or from your other design tools is actually annotated, meaning that I can write what I changed exactly and the developers can know that this screen needs a redo because I had to change the copy on it. And the developers said that they actually like it a lot that I'm more on their side now, being more precise and not as chaotic. Because yeah, I sometimes go really fast and it can be pure chaos. Controlled chaos, but still. With that commit method, when you add what changed in that little box, I can finally sleep easily thinking that they will know what to change and what to update and not forget about stuff. Of course, all the font sizes and all the distances are there, so you can check whether everything is in the right place before coding it. You can export different kinds of code, and that was pretty helpful because it matched exactly the frameworks that we were using, so it was really easy to integrate. We got that landing page working in a matter of like 40 minutes from start to finish coding, and that is quite insane because it allows us to iterate and also A/B test it a little bit later with different copy and different visuals. Because the project has two specific sections, one is the sort of marketing page and the other is the app itself, we divided it into sections within Zeplin so the developers can focus on the thing that they are coding right now. Another thing is assets. We don't do a lot of bitmap assets in our projects anymore, it's mostly vector stuff, but it's really good to create proper canvases for your icons, to make sure they're consistent, and then to name them using a naming convention that your developer accepts and wants to have. Which means that we had to rename our icons, resync everything back to Zeplin, and they were able to very quickly grab everything they needed in all the potential resolutions. In terms of icons, obviously it was SVGs. In terms of some of the little raster graphics, it was PNGs at 1x and at 2x for higher fidelity displays. You don't want people with really high resolution displays to see blurry pixelated mess, do you? Our naming convention was asset type underscore asset name, which is the easiest for both us and the developers to follow, and it's one that I actually recommend you use for a lot of the projects you're doing. Remember that paper diagram that I did early on? I actually recreated it in Zeplin in the flows section to show our developers the exact flow so they don't get confused. They have it all in one place and that speeds up the workflow significantly. We can also use the flows feature to connect the screens into a clickable prototype. Now, I have to tell you, we don't do prototyping often, but a simple prototype just showing how different tabs switch into one another is actually a good way for developers to completely grasp how it's gonna work, how things are gonna disappear, and how to show hover states. Because the most important thing when working with developers is the clarity of communication. They need to fully understand that we're on the same page. We're building something cool together. We want to show it to the world. We're actually excited to show it to the world because it's quite awesome. So let's not make silly mistakes and omissions, shall we? If you're working in the same spot, in the same office, you can do the old school retro thing that my boss used to do, which is basically standing over the shoulder and pointing out stuff to fix like that. but it is kind of annoying, and we're working remotely in a company, so it's a lot easier to just have everything in one place dedicated to connecting designers and developers without breaking the bank, because this is also important if we're building a lot of products like that. But most of all, you need to treat the developers as people, not as coding machines to bring your beautiful designs to life. So all of those useful handoff features and all of the ways that it's easier for developers to understand things need to also have a strong foundation in you just talking to them and making sure that they know what the product does. If they're invested in it mentally, emotionally, and kind of financially as well, if they're coding it as a startup, it's a lot easier for them to pay attention if they know the goal. So yeah, I'm excited that we're building something really cool, and I want to show you more about it once we launch. For now, you can go to the website webreview.ai and register to be notified when we launch, because I think those cheaper accounts are gonna go pretty fast and you can keep your lower price as long as you're subscribed. And if you want to have proper developer designer collaboration, and if you don't want to pay too much for expensive extra dev modes, I think you should give Zeplin a try. It's a really fair way to handle handoff. And at least my developers seem to like it a lot. Because we like doing things fast, we like building things fast, but we don't really like to overpay for things. Thanks for watching, make sure to subscribe for more, like the video, and let me know in the comments if you want to see our further developments of this platform also shared as a case study. Cheers and have a beautiful day.